Hello, Fearless Gamers, and welcome to another podcast here on Fearless Games. I'm Matt the Vet, and today I'm joined by...
Matt the Clwon.
And James the Wildcard.
Had to remember your name there for a minute?
Yeah, I was going to say, you hesitated.
Nobody has to remember these names.
And suddenly you sound like you're underwater.
Yeah?
Everybody's on the water.
Everybody's underwater?
Yeah, you just don't know it yet.
But I'm pretty sure we live above ground.
You're
wrong.
think so.
So, how's everybody doing?
Not good.
Now,
Had a really long week at work.
Any news, anything new or fun or exciting happening to anybody?
Did you guys see the Make-A-Wish thing with the little kid?
Which one?
Yes, it was the coolest.
The one where he became Batman and saved Gotham, and even the President of the United States said good job to him on like a Twitter video thing. It was ridiculous.
I did not see this.
Oh my god, he became little Batman. He was Bat-Kid.
Yeah.
And
he was like 6. It was all stressful.
Yeah, and there was he rescued a damsel in distress from like a Riddler bomb thingy. He took out the Riddler. He took out the Penguin. He had a Lamborghini Batmobile vehicle, which is a real. I've seen that car before. So he had to ride around on that. Then the president said good job to him. It was. I'm like this. I'm not saying that Make-A-Wish can jump the shark, but this just jumped the shark. It was with the epicness of awesomeness. It's like he saved the whole city. How do you? I feel bad kind of for other Make-A-Wish kids who are like, I would like to go to Disney World. It's like, okay, kids.
Shoot for the stars.
I mean, it was. Yeah, it was fantastic.
That's impressive.
This is a lesson in always be yourself unless you can be Batman. Then always be Batman.
It's true. This is a prime example.
Yeah, it was pretty cool then.
But that was awesome.
Speaking of Batman, has anyone here seen the new Thor 2 movie?
Yes, and it was great!
Wasn't it?
I'm willing to say it was better than the first one.
Yeah, it was.
I think it was better than the first one.
Elena would have to disagree with you on that. She prefers the first one.
The first one is okay, especially if you want to know about Thor. Like, if you want, like, Marvel's origin of Thor. The first one was alright. But, like, the thing with, like, these movies is the second one, you usually get more fun out of it because we've established backstory of Thor, and now we get to have fun. And, although my favorite part of that movie would have to have been the trailers. I love the movie, but I got so many good trailers. I got to see the Captain America trailer. I got to see the Days of Future Past trailer. I got to see the Hobbit trailer. I got to see another. I mean, it was just trailer win after trailer. I saw the RoboCop trailer. I got to see all these good trailers. I was like, holy crap, this is a great time at the movies because every trailer was full of win.
That trailer, I know that you've been complaining about the exposed hand thing. A line from the trailer made me think of one of the reasons why they might have kept him with an exposed hand. That whole people need a face so he doesn't look completely robotic and inhuman.
But he's got a face. I just think,
but he also needs a hand. That way people can know there's maybe a person underneath that.
It's just, okay, we developed this advanced robotic cop thing that can assault him by himself, take hits, keep going, and the hand that he does most things with is bare and exposed. It's just like...
Well, we don't know that. For all we know, that could be a robotic hand with skin grafts, like Terminator.
I don't want to hear you, Luke
It's unlikely.
It's just, it's not going to stop me from seeing the movie. It doesn't make me hate the trailer.
It's going to. You hate it.
Or the guy, like the suit or whatever. It just makes no sense.
I've seen the blog. I know you're taking this personally.
Ain't nobody got the time for blogging.
What was that, Matt?
The reason I like Thor 2 more than the first one, incidentally, is that the first one really, it was good, but there was less actual Thor to it.
Yeah.
Where, like, this included a lot more of the Thor mythos. And while the Destroyer was really cool in the first one, like, this one, it had more of, not just the Thor universe, but it had more of the overall Marvel universe that they're building.
Yeah, which was cool.
Like the whole Infinity Gems thing, which I've been waiting for them to mention since they mentioned Thanos. You know?
Yeah.
So I was happy about that.
One thing I do like, an interesting point that one of my friends made in regards to the Superman movie with this one, is that if you really think about it, near the final conflict, it's not as grand and epicoso or whatever it is, in terms of the level of
epic and grandiose?
Yes. In terms of the destruction that happens to Earth. If you really think about it, the destruction that happens in the film...
There was a good amount of property damage.
There's a good amount of property damage, but it wasn't a huge city like it was in Superman, where at that point you're like, well, where do they go from here? They just blew up the whole city.
What got me, I was talking to Starklord the other day, and I couldn't remember the one thing that I found a little off about the movie, and I just remembered what it was. And it's that, at the end of the movie, it's this potentially universe-ending event, and nobody bothered to assemble the Avengers.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, another awful alien invasion is happening.
Well,
it's true.
Iron Man was busy. Cap was,
they were all busy.
At a meeting.
The other thing that I found funny... the other thing that I found funny is, like the Dark Elf Warriors?
Yeah.
Creepy masks?
Yeah.
Those things looked really cool on every planet that wasn't Earth.
It's true.
The moment they came to Earth, there was only one sound effect that could have gone with them, and that was... the fucking putties.
It's true.
All I was thinking about was the putties.
They looked really weird on Earth. I mean, I'm not going to say anything big about the movie, but you're all right. Thor got to be thrown around as Thor more, which was cool. Because we got to see Thor do Thor stuff, which is fun. I will say that I could have used more. What is it, Heimdall?
Is that you're talking about the black one, right?
Yeah, I could use more of him.
Heimdall's great
because he's awesome.
Well, that's because Idris Elba is awesome.
Well, it's true, but it's just
Idris
the
Elba
way
in everything.
But it was just, as that character, he's my favorite Thor character. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
you know what's funny
really
about
knocks it out of the park.
You know what's funny about that was when Guillermo del Toro was doing casting for Pacific Rim and he saw Thor, and he said, "I want that guy," and he's like, "Hey, who's that guy? Who's that American actor who does that really good British accent that was in Thor?" And they went, American. "Oh, that's Idris Elba, and he's actually British." And he goes, "Really?"
Yeah, not even a little bit American.
Not even a little bit. But I thought, I mean, he's just he had an awesome moment in the first, awesome everything in the first movie, and he was just equally awesome in this one. I was just like,
he actually had one of my favorite lines in this one. He had one of my favorite lines in the entire movie. And I actually put it on par with, remember Warcraft 3? What are you doing, my son? Succeeding you?
Succeeding you, father.
It was, it was the line when he's like, my king, I have a treason to report.
Yes.
And Odin's like, whose? And he goes, mine. And I almost had to leave. I was like, done. Coolest thing in the whole movie.
Yeah, no, that was epic. It was he equals epic. I mean, that was. I just like that character about him, and he plays that character so well that I could just get a movie of that character. Just him standing there watching stuff. I would watch for 3 hours.
Whoa, you guys slow down a little bit. You're distorting a little.
He's like, oh man, look at that. He's looking over that sector. Oh my god. He's overseas. Don't look at that sector. And it's just like, oh, look at that. He turned his gaze to this side. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Another thing I appreciated about the movie that I think might have been put in there for people who were confused by the first one is, Hogun, one of the Brothers 3, the Asian guy?
Yeah.
It's sort of lesser known fact that the Vikings would occasionally bring gods home with them. So it's possible that Hogun is based on a god that is based on a foreign god.
Yeah.
And they sort of addressed that in the movie. Like, Thor told Hogun, stay here with your people. And they're on a plane that is all Asian people. And it was like, okay, cool. That explains it.
It did a good job.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah, the movie did a good job for those who might have been a bit confused with the first Thor to kind of ease you into the Thor multiverse, if you will, a bit better.
Yeah, like, it was ultimately they did a stellar job.
Yeah, that was just done well, and I appreciated that. And it was just a fun. Like I went in there enjoying the movie. Like there wasn't a point where I went, eh. Even with the trailers, because usually you see a trailer and you go, eh.
I was actually not excited after seeing the trailers. The trailers did not do that movie any justice.
No, for this.
He's talking about the trailers at this film.
The previews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the trailer.
Dude, you want me to sit? If you want me to sit quietly for a couple of minutes, you show me that Captain America trailer.
Oh, you don't know how much I was fanboying over that trailer.
James, I know how much you were fanboying over that trailer. I know what you have tattooed on your shoulder.
Exactly. I just loved that the whole elevator thing was just amazing. I was so happy that we got to see just how much of a badass Captain America is. Because some people in the first movie for Cap, they were like, I don't see what the big deal of Cap is. I'm like, well, he did rip a car door off with like it was nothing. I mean, he is all this epic stuff, and then we have this like that, just that one scene. I'm like, you see what he did there?
There's one thing that I'm really happy about with just what we've seen from the trailers for Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier's mechanical arm looks so good, and that's such a detail of the character that they could have tried to do something different with it and screwed it up really badly. Yeah. So I'm really glad to see that they pulled the arm off like perfectly.
Yeah,
they did.
That arm was great, and like the shield catch at the end of that trailer is great. And it's not going to be out soon enough, guys.
Oh, it's not. I want it out.
Be out soon enough, and it makes me. This reminds me of something I just found out about coming up in Marvel Comics that you might be excited about, James.
Okay.
There's a comic that's coming out soon, in which I don't know how familiar you guys are with cosmic Marvel, like space stuff. There's a race called the Kree.
Okay, I think I've heard of them.
Think of them kind of like the Eldar. They're like the space elf equivalent, and like sometimes they're cool, but a lot of the other times they're just big jerks.
Yeah.
So apparently they're up to some shenanigans out in space. So there's a team that is going to stop them, called the Invaders. Now, if you're familiar with Marvel, in World War II there was a team that was going to stop the Nazis, called the Invaders. This is the same team, comprised of Namor, Jim Hammond, the original Human Torch, Steve Rogers, Captain America, and James Buchanan Barnes. The actual World War II hero team is going into space, and I can't be more excited. It's going to be so ridiculous.
That's neat.
That's just fun.
And speaking of, like, I just want to bring something up real quick because Matt, you had a very interesting point with it before. Is you guys heard of the new Citadel paint line that has come out?
Not until you mentioned it today.
James?
I don't know. Probably not.
There's a new paint effect called Special Effects. It's 6 jars. They're all but one of them is part of the technical category, and the other is a drawing. And they're for creating special effects on models. So there's Blood for the Blood God for blood effects. There's an Oxidai paint for doing like bronze oxidation. There's a Typhus corrosion when mixed with Razai rust, it becomes like a rust effect. There's Nurgle's rot. And they're basically just colors for creating special effects without doing 50 different stages. There's a link in the discussion about them.
That's interesting. But my thing is, how thick are we talking? Because, for example, blood effect, I have Tamiya Clear for red. And that is the best blood effect you're ever going to find. So, I mean...
This blood effect it's kind of like part shade, part glaze, part layer. Like, it's thin enough where it basically, from what I've seen in the video, is when it's applied, it looks like the person literally just cleaved through somebody with it.
Right.
Like, it wouldn't be good if it was just a splatter on a wall, but it would be good enough if you were using it to, like, indicate an action happening.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead, James.
I would say I still recommend Tamiya Clear, the red one, because they make a variety of colors. Tamiya Clear, but Tamiya Clear red, it smells like Robitussin. Don't use it as Robitussin. But it can do fresh blood. It can do fresh blood. It can do dry blood. If you mix a little bit of black, it can do like gory, soupy blood and goopy blood. So, like, Tamiya Clear red, it's just a fantastic all-around gore effect thing to have. And you spend not that much more than you would for, like, a thing of Citadel paint, but you get more because it's a bigger pot.
Mm-hmm.
But it really does smell like Tussin.
What I was going to say earlier is I'm waiting. I'm not going to pass judgment on them until I see, like, the results. You know, like, until I see them used, because, like, I'm aware that, like, there are ways of doing all these effects with other techniques.
Yeah.
But as someone who occasionally wants to look to save some time, if you can get at least a similar effect, maybe not the same, because, you know, the more complicated techniques are always going to get you better results. If you can get a passable or similar effect from just the one pot, then I consider them a decent product. But I can't say one way or the other because I haven't seen, you know, anything done with them yet.
The one that I'm interested in most is the Oxidai one, especially since I'm going to be doing and the Rust ones because of the Zone Mortalis set that I have.
Is the
Oxide one looks interesting.
Now, what color is that? Is that one?
The Oxide?
Oh, right, you're on the phone, aren't you?
It's a bluish color. It kind of looks like the Statue of Liberty's color.
Oh, so it's a verdigris thing. It's
yeah.
That's very easy to do with just thinning down a paint. The one that I really am interested in of all is Rust, because Rust is a multi-layer paint approach.
Yeah. Like this one, they say you have to use Typhus Corrosion first, and then you use Raza Rust, and combined they make the Rust effect. Whereas Typhus Corrosion by itself gives you more of that oil built up in under rivets and tank treads and such.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's because I know what Rust, like the way I used to do Rust, it would be you do a couple of colors. And I made my own Rust wash, which I probably have to remake, but that was a combination of like 3 or 4 different colors into a wash. So if it just takes, hey, put this down, put this over it, and you get Rust, that could probably be the best one out of the whole bunch, just because Rust takes time. The Blood one, I mean, if you can't, to me, it's clear you just can't find everywhere. Sometimes you have to order online, so you might be able to find that better at hobby shops. And if the Blood one does good that way, that's great. The one to do the verdigris, basically, I mean, you just find the equivalent of Hawk turquoise and you thin it down, and you can do that. And I mean, I don't know how big these pots are. I assume they're going to be the same size.
They're the same size.
Are they the same price? Do we know that yet?
They're $4.25. They're $4 flat. Well, the dry is $4. The rest are $4.25.
Right.
So combined, you can get them in a one-click collection for $25.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah.
So all 6 of them together is $25.
What is cool is that Citadel's doing with this stuff is we have their basic paint range, which is a vast range. And they have like the highlight range. They've been releasing some like I don't know what to call them, but like more additions to their paint ranges, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. And they just re-released the edge paints
to fill in things, which is cool. I mean, I'm always a fan of paint companies expanding their paint ranges, because before this new range came out, when Citadel relaunched their paint range, before that they were taking paints away. So it's nice that they're adding paints.
And one thing also I want to get you guys' opinion on, what do you think of the rumor that Finecast is going out the door?
Say that again?
There's the biggest, again, everyone take this with a grain of salt, there's been a huge rumor going around that Finecast is on its way out and that they're trying to convert everything to plastic. That's why, like, with the new Space Marine launch, the new Space Marine HQs were in plastic, they weren't Finecast, because they want to get rid of the Finecast models.
I would find that surprising, considering Finecast hasn't been around all that long. I would also be kind of... I admit, I like Finecast. I would be a little upset by it, if it were to go.
The official rumor that I've been hearing is that they're slowly going to be getting rid of them, and the Finecast range that is out now will start to be manufactured by Forge World to try and get a little better on top of the quality control, and we'll start noticing less and less Finecast models in recent releases, and then we'll slowly start seeing the Finecast selection shrink on the other armies.
I don't know.
I think it's possible that they're testing the waters. I think they might be doing it as a way of figuring out how plastic goes. I mean, it's possible they're just doing live testing, as it were. So,
yeah.
But I don't think they've made any decisions yet.
I'm a little unsure about it myself. I don't think that they're going to actually go away and get rid of it.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think much either, but I also feel at the same time you can make a case for both. For example, the Space Marine Chaplain's plastic. You know?
Yep.
Like, that would have been a computer or a Finecast model. At the same time, I don't think it would be very economical for them to make everything, including special characters and whatnot, plastic, because just for the fact that you're going to be making a lot of unique one-piece items, and plastic injection molding is more expensive. So that would be a big cost for that. On top of that, if I don't see it much, because they made the XV8 Commander Finecast, which was the dumbest thing in the world. That should have been a plastic model for the size of it. So, I mean, if that goes to plastic, that wouldn't so much be an indication for me, but just, hey, we figured it out, we should have done this from the beginning. And as far as Finecast goes, like, I don't have a problem with Finecast. Have there been horror stories? There's horror stories with everything. Plastic, computer, pretty much. And
you know what? It's not a horror story until customer service is also bad.
Right. Yeah. And one thing I will say about GW and Forge World customer service is they're on their game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so you can't really complain too much with that. Now, as far as switching over to Forge World, I could kind of see that just because they just have the sheer resource of
and they know what they're doing.
Well, they know what they're doing for making detailed models. I will say that their quality control is good and bad at the same time, because I've ordered things from third parties that make resin pieces, and the third parties, which are smaller companies, will produce these, will produce the pieces, but they don't have the glaringly large tabs or flash on them. They clean them up before they ship out. Now, Forge World really isn't really mass producing on the level that GW is. They're not producing hundreds upon hundreds.
Surprisingly, a lot of their items are made to order.
Right, which would make sense, because Forge World is pretty much that. It's a super high quality custom thing. Things you don't need to play the game, but you want. So, especially with their Titans, I think with the higher price models, I think they should take a cue from things like Macleod Studios and things like, I don't even know if they say this, but a bunch of different studios that make their own resin not one-off pieces, but custom pieces to use, and clean them up before shipping them out, because of the sheer fact that you're paying for a premium product, and I don't need those resin tabs. I mean, on the one hand, I can see certain pieces having it, like if they cast like a sprue style, like, hey, here's 5 heads. Okay, fine. even though some of them, they give it to you in a little box that all loose, because they clip them off for you. But that's fine. But when you start getting to, like, here's the let's say one of the fuselages of a plane or whatever, and here's a thick, like, inch-thick tab on the bottom you have to cut off and then filed down to make it all smooth the entire length. I've never understood why they didn't take care of that themselves. And some of their pieces, like the Land Raider Mark IIB, they really got to redo the molds for that.
Yes. For
That's
anyone
like
who doesn't know, that's one of James's least favorite models from Forge World.
I love the way it looks. Putting it together was an absolute atrocity. And the thing about it is, I was not the only one. It's not like I had a bad mold. That mold is just old. And Forge World is pretty on top of keeping it good. Well, it's just one of those pieces that it's not ordered enough to really warrant everybody.
Which is funny, because also they have the same issue with Land Raider doors. The door tab is too short, so you need to cut it off and then cut the plastic doors tab onto it in order for it to go through the peg hole in order to get it to attach to the mechanism to make it open and close.
I haven't had an issue with the Forge World door, because I got Forge World doors with it to do the Mark IIB.
Yeah.
That I didn't have that issue with it. The issue I had, and I'll never understand why they did this. It's a tube. You have the door, and then you have like a cylindrical tube tab thing that goes in to make contact with the mechanism, and then the excess resin tab is like connected to that tab. It's like, you kidding me? So where exactly do I cut this to not screw it up? It's like where they inject in, where they pour the resin in or whatever is on the cylinder part. It doesn't.
I didn't have that issue when I ordered doors. It was along the top that the injection piece was for mine.
I've had on the doors that I've ordered that where the tab goes into the mechanism, or basically where it goes into the hole to kind of sit in, is where I had excess resin, and I don't know why. And I think if that's the way they do it, that's dumb, because they have a flat surface where the doors meet together. The flat surface, you can have it go there if you need to have a tab. But I was just like, this is dumb. Because you clip it short, or you clip it at an odd angle, and it doesn't fit very well.
And also, once again, there's rumor again with a lot of stupid super heavies going plastic. But I'm sorry, I very doubt it's going to happen with half of them. Like, the Thunderhawk is back out, as rumored to be coming out in plastic next year. But it's going to be streamlined, so it doesn't look exactly like the Forge World one.
Well, I said, yeah, because the plastic Baneblade, when they had, I don't know if they still offer the regular Baneblade from Forge World, but the plastic one wasn't a one-to-one, of that. The rumors are coming up because the plastic technology has grown substantially over the past few years. I mean, the plastic technology we're seeing for just pure detailed models / size of pieces and size of models they're producing for it, clearly, I mean, it's a natural progression as technology gets better to make these models. So I can see the theory behind the rumors of, hey, technology's getting to the point where we could do, let's say, plastic Thunderhawk, or let's say plastic Titan. And yeah, it is getting there. I don't think we'll see it until Forge World starts making plastic models. You know what I mean? Like, if Forge World decided, hey, you know what we're going to do for the ease of because, let's just say, I don't know, I'm not a mold maker or anything, but let's say plastic injection molding pieces, the molds last longer, let's say on resin, which I think they would. If they went, hey, to preserve the integrity of our molds, we're going to plastic, you're going to have same great detail, because plastic technology is basically caught up with resin technology for detail. If they got the money, that is, and they have the money. To preserve detail, we're going to make these pieces out of plastic. Yeah, I could see that way. I don't think it'll be a GW piece, though.
Speaking of just going off of just another thing, sorry, I keep rambling on here. There was an interesting article I read. At the moment, I can't find it, but it was this thing about this new rule set that GW is using now at their tournaments. It's called the Warriors Code, and it ridiculously reduces your to a degree some of the creativity out there for miniatures that you have, from what I can remember of it, there's no more proxying if a model exists for that model. So let's just say, for example, I want to use the Thrax Mechanicum troops from Forge World as Ogrins. If I understand these rules correctly, I can't do that because the Ogrins exist. There have been a couple. Heavy conversions can only count if a converted model can only represent the model it most looks like. So say if you have like an orc looted Carnifex, supposedly it can only be a Carnifex because it looks 99% like a Carnifex rather than an orc vehicle. And I read a story once that the most recent Throne of Skulls that this one gentleman had, that the GW officials questioned him as to why he glued his drop pod doors shut instead of having them allowed to be open and closed. And another gentleman that was there, he had a bunch of Dark Angel units, and he had them all on bikes and everything, but he painted them white. But he was running them as a Ravenwing army, and GW's officials said you can't run that as a Dark Angels army, it's white, you have to make a White Scars army now.
I don't know how much that last one holds water. Just because that to me seems a bit weird because of the whole, hey, this is a successor chapter to the, you could easily go that way.
Yeah.
That I can see, as dumb as it sounds with the drop pod doors, and, if people don't want to magnetize them, they barely ever stay up. So if you want to keep them up, I can see why.
I've always had good luck with them, thankfully.
But,
knock on wood.
But, I could see the conversion stuff. I can see the drop pod door thing to a lesser degree, and I can definitely see the whole making your own model that counts as, let's say, a special character or something, or using something in place of an augur.
There's the workers' code.
I see it, and this is the reason why I see it. The big deal of, line of sight, and these models, if I had converted something that could be an ogre, but it's not the same dimensions, and I could hide it easier in terrain, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if I made something to best represent something that it really doesn't fit the footprint of of the spirit of the model, if you will, like a looted wagon, but I make it as something really tiny, but it's really not the spirit of the model. It's supposed to be this big thing that can be easily shot at because it's a big thing. So I can see for certain reasons, especially for like hardcore tournaments, I can see where they're getting at. Some of the if that does hold any real serious water, but at the same time, some of the examples in there don't lend credibility to what they're saying. I understand what they're saying because I've seen people who do conversions and do stuff, and they're not doing it for this reason. But when you hold up to a model, the real model, to compare it, it's much slenderer or not as tall or whatever it is. I mean, it looks fantastic. It's just not the same dimensions.
It's like here's an example of the kind of conversions we want to check. This is coming off the Warriors Code list. Converting Centurions into Obliterators. Using a converted Krorn Lord of Skulls as a Bloodthirster. Turning an Elf Dragon into an Eldar Exodite tank. Using a Bad Moon's Rhino as a looted Orc tank. If you believe that your conversion you have planned conflicts with the Warriors Code, please email us.
It's a thing that honestly, it's never going to hold water or anything except full-on official events. So
yeah,
I mean,
obviously,
if you're at a local hobby store, you don't have to worry about it. I see what they're going for, and see, it's kind of a double-edged sword whenever the GW or their sanctioning body either tries to get more involved in tournaments or when they take a back seat to it, and when they kind of step away from it, people criticize. When they try to take a seat, get into it, they get criticized. So either way, they're going to get criticized. But
that's this whole new Warriors Code thing that's rolling out. Apparently, a lot of people have not been too happy about it.
Yeah, it's changed.
Speaking of things, sorry to interrupt, but speaking of things people won't be too happy about, I have to interrupt with this because somebody just linked me to this on Steam.
Go right ahead.
I'm currently watching a trailer for a movie called Noah. It's a movie
with Russell Crowe?
Yeah, with Russell Crowe, Emma Watson, and Anthony Hopkins.
Yep.
It's the tale of Noah's Ark starring Russell Crowe.
Yep.
Someone's gonna get fired for this. Oh my god! Who
Yep.
thought this was a good idea?
Somebody, the same people who thought Birdemic was good.
No, I think even the people who made Birdemic would have looked at this and been like, I don't want this much heat. Like, what the, and now there's a battle scene? There was an explosion earlier. What the heck? I mean, I love Emma Watson, so on the off chance that she might be in underpants, I'm going.
Who's
okay, no, he just stuck a sword into the ground and everything caught fire. I'm really confused.
Wait, what?
In his trailer, he just jammed a sword into the ground and everything caught fire.
Okay, I know I haven't been going to church regularly anymore,
Yeah,
I should,
I don't remember
but
that
I
part.
don't remember this in my Bible story.
You know what this sounds like?
I might have read the Bible more if that were happening.
This sounds like similar to a trailer I saw for Pompeii, the movie.
Pompeii.
Yeah, you know, the city that got obliterated by a volcano back in the day. It's a movie that was shot, I think the movie's being shot by the producer who did 300 or whatever. And it definitely has 300 feel, and this, basically some dude, some gladiator, whatever's got to save his love, whatever, from the devastation of the city as it gets...
They always have to save their love.
And there's fire erupting and slow motion killing, and it's just... this sounds on that level of... I mean, Noah obviously has a bit more implications to it due to the story and how that's touchy with people, but it sounds on the same level of... Yeah?
The best description of it is Noah starring Russell Crowe.
The
moment you say starring Russell Crowe, you really should get a feel for what's going to happen.
True.
If
It's
Noah
true.
doesn't say, "Are you not entertained?" I'm going to be mad.
It better happen. Like, are you not entertained? But, this sounds like the same, like, it just sounds like the same kind of ridiculousness as Pompeii, and the fact that I'm sure it has nothing, obviously, both have nothing to do with it. And, I'm sorry, we kind of know how Noah ends, and we know how Pompeii ends. So, I'm not saying that you shouldn't see a movie based on something because if you know how it ends, but when it's something like that, it's like, this is only going to turn out a certain way. And I don't know how you're going to Hollywood magic this.
It's going to be awesome. And by that, I mean it's going to piss off everyone.
Speaking of that,
Pharrell.
I was rewatching, like I told you, I don't know if I told you, Matt, I finally saw the Godzilla trailer.
You did.
And I was re-looking at the old original American Godzilla movie, trailer, and I noticed something that they did specifically different in this trailer to kind of, in a sense, try to promise everyone that we wouldn't get the Matthew Broderick movie again. And that was, they show you Godzilla in the trailer.
Yep.
Because if you really look in the original trailers, you never see Godzilla. The most you ever see is like a tail or his foot. You never saw his face in the teasers.
Well, that you're talking about the trailers for the Broderick movie, right?
Yeah.
I think that was because they had redesigned the monster, and I think that they had even made it public that they'd redesigned the monster.
They did.
But they didn't want to reveal that redesign until the movie hit. Whereas this, I mean, I kind of get where you're coming from, but we knew a long time ago that they were using a more classic Godzilla design. They revealed all sorts of concept art. I think they released like a clay maquette or something.
Yep.
So we knew we were getting classic Godzilla. So I think it's less a promise and more just a show of solidarity. Like them just going, you know, it's less like, hey guys, it's not going to be Broderick. It's more, this is what you've been waiting for.
Yeah.
So it's a similar statement to what you're saying, but I think it's ever so slightly different and a little less like, I want to say petty. But
which
yeah,
is true.
No,
I hold a lot of anger
you
for
hold
that
a grudge.
Broderick film.
You hold a grudge on that one, and it's okay. That just makes you a lower quality person, but that happens.
Well, we already knew that. You know, it's not like this is a big secret.
Well, yeah, I'm stoked for the new Godzilla. I mean, I'm stoked for any Godzilla that looks like it's going to be halfway decent.
There's still one that I never noticed that came out that I'm curious to see. It was one that came out before Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, the newer Mechagodzilla one. It was Godzilla, Ghidorah, and Mothra All-Out Attack. And it used... It was like one of these under-the-radar ones. And it was Godzilla, Mothra, and another monster have to fight King Ghidorah. And it was the revamped look of King Ghidorah. So it was kind of like a teaser of what King Ghidorah was going to be in future releases. And I never saw it until I went to the movie, until I went to FYE recently, and I picked up the Gamera trilogy. And I just decided to check out the Godzilla flicks to see what was out there.
Those Gamera movies are solid, yo.
According to what I saw in the commentary, I don't know how true this is, but the person playing the Gauss in the first in Gamera Defender of the Universe was a girl.
Okay.
And she was saying that she claims that it was the first time a girl ever played a kaiju in a film.
I would not be surprised. Women are only recently, like in the last 5 or 10 years, starting to break into the suit actor industry in Japan. It's been a thing that was a big sort of joke amongst adult Sentai fans for a while. If you look at like classic Sentai, any of the girls, if you look closely enough during like the fight scenes where they're transformed, there's a man bulge on all the women if you look closely enough. And even now, like your average Sentai, I think with Gokaiger, there were 2 female members, and only one of the female members of the team was actually a woman in the suit. And the other one was the other one was still a dude. It's like one of those. It's been like a boys' club kind of industry for a really long time, and they're only now starting to get into it. So I actually believe that.
There was also one thing like they showed like takes of the different monster effects and such, and it really showed just how little these guys can hear in the suits.
Oh yeah.
It's the scene where Gamera's ripping apart the stadium trying to get to the Gauss that are trapped inside.
Yeah.
And you see him ripping it apart, and then you just see him, and you just hear the director going, "Cut! Cut!" And then you see a stagehand run right up behind the Gamera suit and just screamed, "Cut!" And then Gamera's like, "Did somebody say something?"
Yeah, there's a similar thing in the Kamen Rider Decade DVDs during like the behind the scenes things. There's a scene showing from inside the Kamen Rider helmet what you can see. And with the Decade helmet, this is like one of the worst cases. But he's only got 2 little slits, like put your fingers where like the corners of your eyes are, like towards your nose, and that's where you would have like a slit the size of a quarter, like if you were to hold the quarter like thin ways.
Okay.
And that's all he's got to see. And they're saying him, "Can you see which monster is in front of you?" And I'm like, man, I can't see if anything's in front of me. So, like, that's one of my favorite things about that whole genre, is, like, these people are just hoping for the best. And it all turns out okay. That's what, like, I used to laugh when, like, they'd throw a punch and it clearly misses by, like, a full foot, but the monster still responds. Now I'm like, can't blame them. Yeah. They only got so many hours in a day to do a take more than once. That monster can't breathe right now. We'll give him a pass.
And one last thing before we start wrapping this up here is the new Inquisition Codex did release. And from what I've been hearing, it's not that much different than what you saw in the Grey Knights Codex. Like, there's only 1 or 2 new units, a couple of new war gears and some warlord traits, but for the most part it seems to just be updating the Inquisition from the Grey Knight section and making it their own codex.
Which is to be expected, honestly. I mean, what they had in the Grey Knights Codex was the Inquisition. Like, they had a pretty solid foundation there. There's not too much they could have done really wow and pizzazz people with the actual Inquisitors and stuff like that. I mean, are the assassins in the Inquisition book?
I couldn't. No, none of the articles say. The only thing that the article seems to imply, I could be wrong about this. The Stark Lord's the only one who has the Codex right now, but I think the Stark Lord got his chair back because I think the chair is in the Codex, and so now he can ally it with his sisters. And from what I've seen, technically, because of the way the Inquisition Codex works, an army can have 2 allies with the Inquisition now.
Okay. I mean, just...
Because the Inquisition, you only need the Inquisitor. And since you only need the Inquisitor, apparently he can ally with another unit. So you can have Imperial Guard, ally with the Inquisition, ally with Eldar. Or something like that.
I mean, I could see that. I could see reasonings for that. It's just... Yeah, but I wasn't expecting anything crazily different from what we've seen the Inquisition have from the Grey Knight's book, considering we had the different orders represented and things. Probably, if anything, more elaborate war gear for them, maybe.
Yep, that's primarily what they got.
But, I mean, because there's only so much you can do with, like, an Inquisitor to make them stand out and be different. You can't really make them mind-blowingly different than what they were, because they're just people. They're not like, it's not like they're like some alien hybrid thing that's stuck in a suit. It's a person. That's just the way it is. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Hopefully it gets a book form just for people who don't, kids who shouldn't have the kids who shouldn't have all the crazy tech. they can get something way to look at it too. But yeah. I forgot that it was coming out this soon, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they did kind of downplay the whole thing. I
feel. I mean, because
like everyone kept talking about, Inquisition's coming out. So I was like, oh, let me check the Games Workshop website, and nothing. Like, It wasn't until like halfway through the pre-order that they started posting information about the Inquisition coming out.
Yeah. So, and talking about crazy tech stuff, to kind of go on with what I was rambling on last time. Would you guys be single or double-bladed lightsaber on what crystal color?
Ooh. I'm gonna go single, because I don't want to cut my own damn head off.
As easily.
Exactly. That'd make it a little easier on me. And as far as color goes... do I have the full range of options?
Full range.
Yes.
Oof. I'm torn between purple and yellow.
Good ones.
Let's see. For me, I always liked the double-bladed lightsaber, personally.
Yeah.
But I've always wanted to see a double-bladed lightsaber that could be broken into 2. So I would say I would go with a double-bladed lightsaber, but I would, if I was capable of, modifying it so I could break it into 2 lightsabers. And I would go with a green blade, because green's always been my favorite color.
Cool. And talking about that, if you search on YouTube, Contract of Evil fan film that was done a while ago, it basically is like, it's like a prequel for Darth Maul before Episode 1 happens. Mm-hmm. And what was interesting is his double-bladed lightsaber in that starts off as 2 single-bladed, and then he just connects them at the end. So, I mean, that idea has been thought of before, and it's a really cool idea. Because, I mean, at that point, if you want to be crazy, technically it's 2 lightsabers. You could have one green and one red and be like, it's Christmas! But...
The red one represents the evil, but the green one represents the good in me trying to battle the evil in me.
Yes. You got a Russian Jedi. Yeah, I like double-bladed lightsabers a lot, but there's something, I don't know, you can't, it would like they said in Expendables 2, you can't beat a classic. So I'm gonna have to say a single-bladed lightsaber. Just a single lightsaber, a nice color. And color, it's tough because I've seen representations of the full span, and as much as I like purple, I don't want to infringe on Mace Windu, So I'll let him have that.
That's part of why I was torn.
Yeah. And some days I hate orange. If I could go with anything, I would go with the white that you get in the comics of like those Sentinel guys, those like whatever they were called. I forget their names.
Okay.
But they were called. They were cool.
Yeah, a white blade is what I would go with. A single bladed white blade. You'd be like, yo. What's up?
One more thing before we go here is as you all know, the PS4 came out.
Yeah.
Anyone
Again, I thought that was coming out later. What's
no.
going on?
PS4 came out this Friday. Xbox One is coming out this coming Friday.
Yeah, I'm stoked for the PS4, but I'm gonna wait until it's got a bit more of a library. Because right now it has game.
Yep.
And from what I hear, knack is not very good.
Really? That game looks so good.
It looks interesting conceptually, but I've heard it's not very good, which is a shame. Huh. But
yeah.
You know, the library will grow over time, and I'll probably buy it sometime next year.
There is a circumstance that is coming up soon that will affect whether or not I get one sooner or later.
Okay, what's that circumstance?
My church fair is doing a $200 gift card to Best Buy. So if I win that's half a PS4 right there.
True. Yeah.
But one thing someone did with it is they bought the PS4, they then microwaved it, and it burst into flames because he turned it on. He turned everything on the thing on, and then microwaved it for like 5 minutes.
Okay.
He's now selling it on eBay as art for $11,000.
What?
I am not kidding.
Nobody better buy that. If anybody does, it is the duty of every citizen of the world to find that person and beat them up.
Yeah, $11,000.
Fearless gamers, this is why I hate modern art.
Yes.
This is why, ever since I was a young man, I've wanted to burn down the Museum of Modern Art. Let's see. When I was young, when I was just a child, middle school maybe, we took a field trip to the Museum of Modern Art, the MoMA, and there was a sculpture of a man on hands and knees, crawling across the floor, and a 13-foot turd trailing out behind him. This was a sculpture that I was subjected to at the ripe young age of like 12. It's because of sculptures like that people think that it's art to microwave a PS4 and sell it for $11,000.
It doesn't make any sense. I've been to the MoMA also, not by choice, but by having to go, and I didn't get anything. I'm like, I don't get this.
Yeah, no, there was. I once saw an art display at the MoMA in which a gentleman had taken some paper, brushed his teeth, spit onto the paper, and then framed the paper and called it art.
Yeah.
This same gentleman took a piece of paper, scrunched it up in the middle, got it a little dirty, called it art.
This is why I've never gone to
the MoMA. Walk out mad. Listen, if you go to the MoMA, visit like the older modern artists like Van Gogh, Monet, the ones who actually did art. Like, because unfortunately they're considered modern artists. So if you want to see some Van Gogh or some Monet, you really got to go to the MoMA, which is a shame because Van Gogh is one of my favorite artists. But anything like current, anything contemporary, as it were, you'll leave mad. There was the same guy who spit on paper and crumpled paper. I almost kicked one of his pieces of art because all he'd done was take a shoebox and put it on the floor. 7 or 8 feet away from the plaque that was talking about how the shoebox was a study in negative space. I was like, no, this just needed another piece of art to fulfill his contract, so he put a shoebox on the floor. Screw you.
Now, was it Monet the guy who did the water lilies?
That's Monet.
Monet? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Monet's water. The reason I didn't leave mad that day is that they had the water lilies on display. So I was able to actually see the water lilies in person. They had Starry Night, which is my favorite painting of all time, on display. So I was like, I saw two things I'd really wanted to see for a long time, and then I also almost kicked a shoebox. One thing I'd like to do before I die is go to the MoMA with a group of people who are going to keep watch while I drop a deuce in a corner. And then put, like, you know those, like, glass serving domes? One of those over it, and then, like, put, like, a little, like, one of the little, like, plaques next to it, talking about how it's, like, commentary on how on, like, the state of modern art. And then just, like, watch from across the room to see how long it takes security to realize that's not supposed to be there.
And with that... I think it might be a good time to call it. I would like to leave the Fearless Gamers with one question. Go right ahead.
Heimdall can see over 10 trillion souls, but can he see why kids love Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Let's see what you guys think.
Yes.
So, thank you all for listening for today. And until next time, Fearless Gamers, this is Matt the Vet.
This is Matt the Clown.
And this is Jane the Wildcard.
Saying take care.
Peace.
Peace.